Have you ever found yourself trapped in a mental battle where your actions seem to contradict your deepest beliefs? Where you know something is wrong, yet you continue to do it anyway? This internal conflict is more than just a random psychological quirk. It's a fascinating phenomenon known as cognitive dissonance, and today, we're going to dive deep into understanding this intricate aspect of human psychology that shapes our thoughts, behaviors, and decisions in ways we rarely comprehend. Imagine for a moment the internal struggle of a smoker. They know, with absolute certainty, that cigarettes cause cancer. They've seen the graphic health warnings, they understand the scientific research, and they're fully aware of the potential devastating consequences. Yet, they continue to light up, day after day. This isn't simply about addiction. This is cognitive dissonance in its most vivid form, a psychological tug-of-war between knowledge and action that reveals the complex mechanisms of human reasoning. The story of cognitive dissonance begins with Leon Festinger, a brilliant social psychologist who first introduced this groundbreaking concept in the late 1950s. When that date came and went without any apocalyptic event, something remarkable happened that would become the cornerstone of cognitive dissonance theory. The cult members didn't simply admit they were wrong. Instead, many of them, particularly those who had invested the most, like selling their homes or quitting their jobs, began to reinterpret the evidence. They claimed that their faith had actually prevented the catastrophe. Rather than accepting the uncomfortable truth that their beliefs were incorrect, they reconstructed their entire narrative to maintain a sense of consistency and protect their psychological well-being. This observation led Festinger to a profound realization. Humans have an incredibly strong internal drive to maintain consistency between their beliefs, attitudes, and behaviors. We are psychologically wired to seek harmony and avoid the mental discomfort that arises when these elements clash. Cognitive dissonance is essentially the mental tension we experience when our cognitions, our thoughts, beliefs, attitudes, and behaviors contradict each other. But what exactly does this tension feel like? It's not just an abstract concept, it's a very real, visceral experience. Imagine the guilt an environmentally conscious person might feel after using a disposable plastic water bottle, or the shame someone experiences when they know they should be exercising but continue to lead a sedentary lifestyle. These aren't just passing moments of regret. They are manifestations of cognitive dissonance, a psychological state characterized by anxiety, embarrassment, and a profound sense of internal contradiction. The mechanisms through which we experience and resolve cognitive dissonance are fascinatingly complex. Festinger identified several key scenarios where this phenomenon prominently emerges. The first is forced compliance behavior, a situation where individuals are compelled to act in ways that contradict their personal beliefs. A classic experiment by Festinger and Carl Smith in 1959 brilliantly illustrated this concept. In this experiment, participants were asked to perform extremely boring tasks, like turning pegs in a board for extended periods. Afterward, they were paid either $1 or $20 to tell another participant that the task was actually enjoyable. Counterintuitively, those paid only $1 were more likely to genuinely believe the task was interesting. Why? Because $1 wasn't enough justification for lying. To reduce their internal discomfort, these participants actually convinced themselves that the task wasn't as bad as they initially thought. Decision-making represents another fertile ground for cognitive dissonance. Every choice we make involves not just selecting one option, but psychologically letting go of alternatives. Consider a scenario where you're choosing between two job offers, one in a beautiful location far from family, and another closer to home but perhaps less exciting. Whichever choice you make, you'll experience dissonance. Choose the distant job, and you'll miss your loved ones. Choose the nearby job, and you'll wonder about the opportunities you've missed. This psychological mechanism doesn't just influence minor decisions, it can profoundly shape our worldviews and behaviors. Take, for instance, the realm of effort and commitment. Humans have a remarkable tendency to value most highly those goals that have required significant effort to achieve. This isn't just about external validation. It's a psychological strategy to reduce dissonance. An extraordinary experiment by Aronson and Mills in 1959 demonstrated this principle vividly. The more effort and discomfort they experienced, the more they needed to convince themselves that the experience was worthwhile. But cognitive dissonance isn't just an interesting psychological phenomenon. it has profound real-world implications. It helps explain why people persist in behaviors they know are harmful, why individuals struggle to change deeply ingrained habits, and why we often go to extraordinary lengths to maintain our existing belief systems. Consider the smoker who continues to smoke despite knowing the health risks. Instead of quitting, they might rationalize their behavior by claiming that life is short and should be enjoyed, or by downplaying the severity of potential health consequences. Or think about someone who continues to support a political ideology even when presented with contradictory evidence. Rather than changing their view, they might seek out information that confirms their existing beliefs, a phenomenon known as confirmation bias. Interestingly, not everyone experiences cognitive dissonance to the same degree. Highly anxious individuals tend to be more susceptible to these internal conflicts, while others can seemingly cope with significant inconsistencies without experiencing substantial psychological tension. This variation suggests that cognitive dissonance is not just a universal psychological mechanism, but a nuanced process influenced by individual personality traits and psychological resilience. So how do we actually resolve cognitive dissonance? Festinger outlined 3 primary strategies. First, we might change our existing beliefs to align with our behaviors. Second, we can acquire new information that outweighs the dissonant beliefs. And third, we can reduce the importance of the conflicting cognitions by reframing or minimizing their significance. A person concerned about climate change might drive a gas-guzzling vehicle. While these strategies might provide temporary psychological relief, they can also lead to problematic decision-making. By rationalizing harmful behaviors or selectively interpreting information, we risk perpetuating destructive patterns and limiting our personal growth. Modern psychological research continues to explore the intricate landscape of cognitive dissonance. Contemporary studies are investigating how digital technologies and social media platforms might be amplifying our tendencies to seek confirmation and avoid uncomfortable truths. In an era of information overload and increasingly polarized social discourse, understanding cognitive dissonance has never been more crucial. The implications of cognitive dissonance extend far beyond individual psychology. It plays a significant role in social movements, political ideologies, consumer behavior, and interpersonal relationships. By recognizing this psychological mechanism, we can develop greater self-awareness, empathy, and the ability to critically examine our own beliefs and behaviors. Ultimately, cognitive dissonance reveals a profound truth about human nature. We are not purely rational beings. Our minds are complex ecosystems where emotions, beliefs, and behaviors interact in intricate, sometimes contradictory ways. Rather than seeing this as a weakness, we can view it as an opportunity for growth, self-reflection, and continuous learning. The next time you find yourself feeling uncomfortable about a belief or behavior, pause. Recognize that this discomfort might be cognitive dissonance at work. Instead of immediately trying to resolve or suppress the feeling, sit with it. Ask yourself, what is this tension trying to tell me? What beliefs am I holding that might need examination? What behaviors might benefit from honest, compassionate reflection? By understanding cognitive dissonance, we open the door to personal transformation. We learn to be more honest with ourselves, more open to changing our perspectives, and more compassionate towards the complex psychological mechanisms that shape human experience. Cognitive dissonance isn't just a psychological theory. It's a lens through which we can better understand ourselves and the intricate, often messy process of being human. Embrace the discomfort, for within it lies the potential for profound personal growth and understanding.